Welcome back, True Seeker. Gematria affects sports. A lot of people asking about the World Cup Championship. Admittedly, I haven't done a lot of research on the World Cup, but I have noticed something very interesting about Croatia versus France. So, Croatia's first World Cup was in 1998. They've only been a nation since 1991. That's the year they gained their independence. They used to be part of Yugoslavia, which used to be part of the USSR, which, is pretty much Russia, which is hosting this tournament. But anyway, their first World Cup was in 98, and that was hosted in France, and France won that year on their home turf. So, that parallel aside, look at this. From 1991 to 2018 is 27 years. And this is a big number in the world of rig sports. It's the ritual number. It gets used again and again and again in the scripting and rigging of sports. And if you read about Croatia's first World Cup in France, they scored their first World Cup goal in the 27th minute. It was Mario Stanic who scored the first goal of the World Cup for Croatia in the 27th minute. That was back in France, 1998. So again, from the year Croatia got its independence, 91, to this year, 2018, 27 years later. And here they are in their first World Cup championship. Ritual equals 27. As we call football in America, we call it soccer. Soccer has Gematria 27. Now, the rest of the world would probably throw out that relationship because nobody else calls it that. But to me, it's still interesting. Especially in light of the fact that the World Cup began this year on the U.S. flag's birthday. The United States isn't in the World Cup this year. This ongoing international story of Russia meddling in the U.S. elections. Also in Gematria, French equals 27. Croatia playing the French team. So, that's what pops out for Croatia in terms of the Croatia-France matchup. With regards to France, the other thing that's jumping out is this. The game is going to be July 15th. In the majority of the world, that date's written 15/7, like 157, which is the 37th prime number. 37 is the 12th prime number. And France, 12 years ago, was in the World Cup Championship, and they lost. They lost to Italy in 2006. That was hosted in Germany. France lost to Italy 12 years ago. So could it be deja vu? Could France lose again in the World Cup 12 years later? Possibly. Think about how France won in 98 on their home turf. Croatia's home turf isn't exactly Russia, but it's not too far off. Again, Russia used to be the USSR. Yugoslavia broke off from the USSR, and then Croatia eventually came out of Yugoslavia. So, Croatia and Russia have history, in other words. It'll be interesting to see what happens in light of the connection to 157, 37, 12. I won't be surprised if the winning score, and it could be for either team, is 2-1 or 1-2, kind of like 12. So I'll be looking for that score tomorrow. It'd be funny if the score was 3-7. That would be a huge score for a soccer football game. 1-2 is a lot more likely. Very common score in the sport. Could be something else entirely, but if I had to bet on a score, I'd bet on 1-2. Oftentimes it works out that way. And just for a little more World Cup news by the numbers, yesterday CNN was running this as one of their headline stories, how Africa got France to the World Cup. Of course, Africa, a continent largely colonized by England and France. But the article's about how many of the French players are from Africa. What this got me thinking about is how 2018, the year of this World Cup, has a numerology of 20 plus 18, 38. And in the language of Gematria, Africa, using the alphabetic order, A is 1, F is 6, R is 18, I is 9, C is 3, A is 1. Africa, when you add it up, is 38. And this article also came July 13th, 18, 7 plus 13 plus 18, date with 38 numerology. News by the numbers happens every single day. This is why they waited until July 13th to run this story about France and Africa, So they also mention how there's at least 15 players with African roots. Remember, France with the alphabetic order, F is 6, R is 18, A is 1, N is 14, C is 3, E is 5. France equals 47, which is the 15th prime. That's why they write at least 15 players with African roots. They probably know the exact count, but they do this stuff intentionally. The entire media abides by this code. The entire world of sports, scripted and controlled by this code. It's Freemasonry across the globe. Freemasonry. France, a lot of Masonic history. So, see what happens tomorrow, but probably, most definitely not a coincidence that we have Croatia versus France in light of, the first Croatian World Cup being in France 20 years ago. And with regards to 20 years, in case you're new here, I'll give you an important Gematria lesson. Understand, English is the language of the world. English, the Masonic language of the world. There's a reason the entire world is speaking English. The language is coded out in Gematria. And in the English alphabet, T, the first letter in the word time, is the 20th letter. And notice, lowercase t is like a cross, and the cross throughout time has been used to symbolize the 4 seasons. Seasons, time. If you write out time in reduction gematria, which is using the alphabetic order and the rules of numerology, so instead of T being the 20th letter, it's 2 plus 0 is 2, I is the 9th letter, M instead of being the 13th letter is 1 plus 3 is 4, E is the 5th letter. Add it up, time equals 20. In that same cipher, if you write out seasons, it equals 20. And if you write out cross, it equals 20. And again, T, a lowercase t, looks like a cross. T, the 20th letter of the alphabet. So 20, this relationship with time, 20 years since 98, we get this matchup of France and Croatia. And again, 27 years since Croatia has become a nation. And where they scored their first goal in the 27th minute in France, which I guarantee you was no coincidence. The entire world of sports is planned and scripted years in advance. When that script was following through in 98, they already had the World Cup planned out for 2018. They got the next World Cup planned and scripted out. And the one after that, they got it scripted out as far as they're going to run the World Cup. In case you're new here, I've been exposing the way the world of rigged sports is planned and carried out for several years. Have several correct predictions. I mostly focus on American sports. And a lot of people have always asked if I could do more with the world of soccer. And, for anyone who's watching and who's a skeptic right now, I'll just show you something real quick. Ronaldo going to Juventus. Big story this past week. And his move to Juventus is entirely by the numbers. So look, Ronaldo right now is 33 years old. He's 33. And he's going to Juventus at age 33. Juventus has this Gematria of 33. He signed a contract for £88 million. Look at his name in Gematria. 88. £88 million, age 33, shipped to Juventus. And looks like what I forgot to put up here was, here, I'll show you. From February 5th to the date of this news came July 10th. This was his 156th day of being. So from February 5th, his birthday, was his 156th day of his age. And the reason that matters is if you write out, or here, I already have it up here in the post. If you write out 33 as a word using the alphabetic order, it sums to 156. If you write out the number of a man, also has Gematria of 156. And in a person, there are 33 vertebrae in the spine. This is why Freemasonry is obsessed with 33. It's the spiritual belief about Kundalini, spiritual ascension up to 33 vertebrae. The word people's 33, the word person 33, the word goyim 33. If you don't know what that word means, look it up. And there's more, but we'll just leave it there. Just understand, everything in the world of sports across the globe scripted by this code. Letters, numbers, English, also Hebrew, and dates on the calendar. The Gregorian calendar, which we're on, was established at the same time English was coming into the world. All of this is part of a plan for the future. You know, people call it the New World Order, the Illuminati. What it is the Masonic network across the world, controlling industry, banking, government, church, media. This is how they operate. Every single day. You can prove this code every single day. You just got to know English and how to count. That's all. So I'll link this calculator down below. Very simple, very intuitive. Alphabetic order is what English ordinal is. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, up to Z is 26, the 26th letter. Reduction is the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. And reverse is the alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1, up to A is 26. And also the rules of numerology with the alphabet in reverse. You learn those 4 ciphers, you'll know enough. So, little World Cup, championship, coincidence exposure. And little news on why Ronaldo went to Juventus the day that he did. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.